Prosperity is so much bigger than money. It's about mindset, execution, and the courage to believe you deserve so much more than survival. You deserve success. I always say that success moves at the speed of execution. Even though you can hope for change all day, prosperity will show up when you start taking inspired and intentional action.
Here we go! Nicole Johnson, Nicole Johnson, Nicole Johnson, let's go!
And welcome to another episode of Prosperity Conversations. I am super excited to have our guest today. Something about sitting with another lady who can inspire you with their story. I want you to understand that today's conversation is about resilience, healing, and purpose. Today's guest, Danielle Young, knows firsthand what it means to rebuild from the ground up, not just financially, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. She's gone from surviving unthinkable circumstances to thriving as a woman who empowers others to heal, rebuild, and rise. Listen, you know that's just my cup of tea. Y'all welcome Danielle to the stage. Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful to be here.
No problem at all. No problem at all. These conversations are meant to let our audience see a side of us that we might not always reveal, but it is the part that we want them to know exists. And it's the backdoor motivation that keeps us going. So let me start where we always start. What does prosperity mean for you?
Prosperity to me is the gratefulness that I have for where I started to where I am now. A lot of people think it's money, and for me, it's so much more than that. I started very poor in life. I had a single mom. We lived in government housing. I grew a fondness for government cheese. I mean,
Girl,
they
chat.
made the best grilled cheese sandwiches. I mean, that stuff was
Damn, we is stuck. When you say cheese toast and grilled cheese,
yes.
there's nothing better. The today's children are so deprived. I wish that's the one thing I would love to come back.
Yeah, it was so good. It just made the best grilled cheeses.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
So
And keep going. Keep going. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt.
no. I know I get excited about cheese too. Um, it's a food group, you know that, right? Yeah, so, I just grew up very, very poor, and I was bullied a lot when I was younger. I was always the tallest in my school. I was 5'9" by the time I was in seventh grade. So,
Mm-hmm.
always the tallest. I was just really awkward. And I didn't really know how to, fit into the world. And
Mm-hmm.
I I met someone when I was 18. He was 10 years older, and I went through a very abusive relationship with him.
Mm.
And I didn't know what love was. I didn't know what love felt like because I never had that with a boyfriend before. I'd never had a boyfriend before. So transitioning out of that relationship with a newborn, my daughter was 3 weeks old when I left him, because of
Mm.
circumstances,
Right.
because of the abuse. He got very violent, and I had to rebuild everything.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, I had to rebuild. I had no money when I left. I had nothing but the clothes on my back and a diaper bag
Oh
with my
wow.
daughter's stuff in it. I had not. I literally had nothing.
Mm.
And to go from that to where I am today, I can look back on that with grace and with with so much gratitude, because that was the catalyst for me to become who I am. You know, I'm an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, I'm an international speaker, I'm a best-selling author. I've built my company, I have a wonderful family. You know, I I live in a place that people come to vacation. You know, it's just my whole life has been built on the back of my gratitude for what happened.
Yeah.
And for me, that is the prosperity. And every single day I can look at my life and things that are being brought in and things that have passed and say, you know what, this was all part of it. This is part of the learning process, and I'm so just grateful for it all. And I am prosperous. You know, I don't have a huge bank account. I'm not a bazillionaire. You know, but in my mind, I am successful because I'm not her anymore.
I feel that. There's a song Marvin Sapp sings. I'm grateful for it all. The
Mm,
good, bad, the ugly, big and small.
yeah,
Right? The times of victory and where I fall, right?
yeah,
Because it's the foundation, right? But when you have when you no matter what the foundation looks like, you can build on top of it,
hmm,
right?
yes,
And you make things better as you go higher. And
yes,
so uh
mm,
so relatable, right? As I was looking for speakers, um it's one thing to read your story. It's another thing to hear you and watch your facial expression. I read body language and I watch I'm talking about the abuse and the things that were the problems and without even a whole lot of detail because we don't got to know the nitty and the gritty. We can read between those lines, but
yeah,
the light up of your face when you talk about family and where you are now, and even though you don't have what others may consider a lot, you're happy,
yeah,
right? You love your life. You
yes,
love also being able to help someone else.
hmm,
And that to me is watching just in these few moments, watching you go from the discussion of the how you survived, what you survived, to now being in a place of thriving. And where we are as a society, we all need to have the information, the testimonials, the inspiration of knowing how to thrive because survival is just a state of existence,
right,
right? And
right,
we get up, we do this, we go to sleep, we start over again, we get up, we do that, you know what I mean?
yeah.
No, thriving. And your daughter was 3 months old. How old is she
Three
now?
weeks. She was
Three,
3 weeks
I'm
old.
sorry, she was 3 weeks old.
Yeah,
How old is she now?
she's 25.
Girl, stop.
Yeah.
And that smile got even bigger when you said
She's my girl. I mean, we have been through everything together. We grew up together. I mean, I was 20
Yes,
when I had her.
yes,
So, you know, she's the reason why I have gone so far. She's the reason why I've bettered myself. She's the reason why I survived. I mean, she is my my why for healing. And I also have a son, he's 14, and those two are my reasons to just keep building and keep rising
mm,
and keep going. You know, I want them to see that you can rise from the ashes. I mean, my logo over here, it's a phoenix because,
mhm,
you know, it is possible to be through so much and then just decide I'm going to rise out of the ashes. I'm going to build and I'm going to keep going and I'm not going to stop. And that's
yeah.
exactly what I've done.
And how does it feel?
Oh, it feels amazing because if you would have told me even 5 years ago that I would be at this point, I would have laughed. I would have said, there's no way.
Right.
I'm not, I can't do that. That's okay, whatever. But I just kept following my intuition. I kept saying, you know what, there's more. There's more. I can do more. And I just kept learning and kept going. And here I
Here
am.
you are. And
Yeah.
you know what, Danielle? I tell people that when you're trying to accomplish something that is so big, that dream, that goal is big to the point that it looks insurmountable, you have to have a why that's so strong and personal to you that nothing and no one will get in the way of you achieving that goal.
Mhm.
And what's more unstoppable than a determined mother?
Exactly.
Yeah, baby, we move cars, we move rubbles and rocks. My kid under there, oh baby, watch me do. I don't
Yeah.
need that truck over there. I'm finna get my own kid up out of here. It
Yeah.
is just amazing what we will do when it comes to our children.
Yes.
And so now your daughter's 25, your son is
14.
14. And so in a few years, he is going to be a legalized adult.
Hmm.
What does that look like for Danielle when, because he's still going to need you, she still needs you, but
Yeah.
now you technically don't have any itty babies. What does life look like for you?
My husband and I have talked about selling everything and roaming around the country in an RV. You
Danielle,
know,
I
I
love
I mean, I have been raising children for the better part of my life, and
it.
I am ready. And we've traveled with them, like they've been all over the world, but it would be nice to just have that calm with, I tell my kids, we've built the runway, now it's up to you to fly. And that is for me as a mom, watching them do the things that they love. And, my son is already trying to build an online empire with, computer programming. And my daughter has her own little company online doing content create or what does she call it? Concept art for video games.
Okay.
My kids, I've that for me is the greatest when I see my kids being prosperous in that way. They're
Yes.
taking their what they have available and they're running with it. And I want that for them. I want them to move forward into their life with that gratitude as well and be proud of what they're doing. And I'm just gonna sit back and watch them and be a proud mom too.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. And kudos to your husband for this idea of roaming the world in the RV.
Yeah, we watch the YouTube videos and I'm like, oh, I want that
I
life.
want that life. Listen, I've fallen in love with the beach life. I can't swim a
Yes.
lick, but I can sure put my foot in that water.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, we love the beach. I have
Yes.
to our
So I
water.
love that. So a lot of us, especially women, we take our pain and we turn it into our passion.
Mhm.
It's what fuels our heart, and that turns into our mission, right? And so tell us about inspiredwellness.com. Inspired action wellness, let me read that right.
That's okay. So Inspired Action Wellness was born out of and a download that I got one morning in a meditation. Yeah. I had done some coaching before, but it was not coaching that I was enjoying. And I really wanted to take everything that I had learned and everything that I'd been through and really encompass it into one and package it into one company. So I was just sitting in the meditation one morning and I heard it and take inspired action. And I'm like, okay, that's it. That's the name of my company right there. Take inspired action. So that's what I teach.
Okay.
Take it's just little steps of inspired action every single day, and that's how I got to where I am now. I didn't do it in huge chunks. I did it in very little small steps, small bites. And inspired action wellness is it's everything that I wanted it to be. It
Mm-hmm.
is a place where I want women to come and feel supported, safe, and to feel like they can they can come back to themselves. A lot of us right now are feeling the weight of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and I want this to be a safe space for that growth, that transition, that you know becoming the person living the life that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Build the confidence, build the self-esteem, get rid of those limiting beliefs, the negativity, let's just get rid of it. I'm very much into body first. I learned going through abuse that your body holds everything, and really you can't get out of that. You can't move forward really unless you start healing the body first. So I developed a body first methodology called the Inspired Action Method, um, which is the biggest part of Inspired Action Wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just an all-encompassing holistic being at this point.
And I love that because in dealing with women and their money and teaching them how to define and achieve their goal of financial freedom, um, a lot of what I do, I tell them all the time, a lot of what we do in this process is very therapeutic, but I ain't your therapist. That's beyond my capacity.
Yeah.
But watching them from where they come in to with me and then the steps that they take. Like we go on a savings journey every month. They have to set a goal, and then I tell them, I say, okay, well, what's the stretch goal? You see, $200 is easy. That's why you just said, oh, I'm gonna say $200. You've been saving $200 for the last 6 months, okay, and that's great. But what's the stretch? So it would be a stretch for me, Nicole, to say $400. Well, there's your goal. Because even if you land at two and you stretch because you're focused and intentional and you reach 250, see that's just a little step. And then they said, well, I saved 225. We celebrate that
Yeah.
because it's $25 more than what you saved already, but you didn't reach the stretch goal. Well, guess what? We got next month and we got next month. Celebrate what you did because as we are looking at the big picture of I want to save $10,000 over the course of a year, you don't see that small step. And small steps lead to big rewards. So I love how you talk about just my friend when I was in multi-level marketing for a candle company and I was striving for my next promotion. And I was like, but this and this and this, oh my gosh, look at this map. Look at this. She was like, Nicole, how do you eat a cake? I said, with a fork. She's she said, how do you eat a cake? One slice at a time. I said, oh, well, you should have just said that. Stop being so dramatic.
All right.
But it makes sense because
Yeah.
when we can compartmentalize and break it down to those small bites, it's more achievable.
Yes.
And we don't we celebrate everybody else. We don't always celebrate ourselves. So I love what you're doing with Inspired Action Wellness. I love your story of it's really about overcoming,
Mhm.
right? Because some of us don't make it out of some of those abusive situations.
Right.
And some of us make it out, but we're so stuck in a place because we don't know what to do next because nobody's sharing their story.
Right.
And so I appreciate you being here. And so, what I'd like you to do is for the woman who's listening today,
Hmm.
right? The woman that's listening today who feels trapped, she might still be in that place of abuse and not know what to do, or she has physically left, but she's not mentally or emotionally left. She's still trapped. What
Hmm.
would you say to her?
So that's two different answers. So for the woman who is still trapped, who's still in that relationship, who is still with the abuser, the first step that you have to make up your mind that you're going to leave. Because once you make up your mind, there's no going back. That,
Mm,
you know, that's it. Your mind and your body are now prepared to go.
mhm,
The next step is you're going to have to create a plan. Whether that is start talking to friends, start talking to family, see, can I crash on your couch for a little while? This is what's going on. I need to get out. Third step is make sure that you're safe. Make sure, because a lot of very violent and tragic things happen when women actually leave. I mean, my abuser stalked me. He harassed me for 2 years, almost 3 years after I left. So there really needs to be a plan in place, whatever that looks like for you, to
mhm,
protect yourself, whether that's take a self-defense class or whether that's, get trained in something, baseball bat, whatever.
mhm.
I had a baseball bat.
I
That,
believe in no conceal but carry, but keep going.
yeah. I wasn't going to say that, but whatever, that's what, whatever that looks like for you, make sure that you are protected. And because the court system, they're not going to save you. I hate to say that, but they are not your friend. So
Mhm,
you have to take it upon yourself to make sure that you're safe. For the woman who's already left,
mhm,
my advice for that is really start focus, make up your mind that you want to heal, make up your mind that you don't want to stay stuck in this mindset of I'm never going to get better, this happened to me. Get out of that victim mindset and tell yourself I am going to get better. I'm going to make it a point to heal, and then seek out someone who does somatic coaching. Start with nervous system based
mhm.
coaching. That is the absolute most important thing. Everybody thinks talk therapy. It's my opinion only.
Mhm.
Trauma does not live in the mind. Trauma does not live in the language centers of the brain. It lives in the body. So, in order to get that quote unquote fixed,
Right.
really, you need nervous system based training.
Mm,
And then really work with someone who can help you, who's trauma informed, because not everybody is trauma informed.
that's true.
Make sure someone that you find is trauma informed and start doing small actions every single day. You're going to build up confidence in yourself. You're going to build trust within yourself again. You're going to tell, you're going to let yourself know I can keep this promise to myself, whether it's I'm going to brush my teeth every day, whether it's I'm going to make my bed every day, just these little minute things that you can do. And it also helps regulate your nervous system.
Mm,
So it's those little steps. I could go
mm.
on. I wrote a whole book on this.
And
Um,
I'm gonna show where they can follow you on Instagram and TikTok, Inspired Action Wellness. Make sure you go find her on there so that you might not need it for yourself, you might know it for need it for a friend. You got to pay attention to the signs and the signals. Your friend might be in trouble.
yes,
Okay. And so we want to be able to help those that we love. Um,
absolutely.
one of the things that we're aligned with a lot of things. Let me start with that. I don't know where this echo is coming from. I'll figure it out though. Um, Part of one of the things that I did for my community was develop the sheeconomyhub.org. I believe in teaching women how to create streams of income from home so that they don't have to stay in situations because they can't afford to leave.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to work. And if you're at home, there's simple things that you can do that don't necessarily take you out of the home to work to create income, because you got to have some finances when you decide to leave.
Yeah.
My great grandmother believed in tucking money up under the mattress. She
Yep.
didn't believe in putting it in the bank. She kept it pinned to her bra.
Yep.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. So it's different ways to do different things to build. But one thing that Danielle and I will say together is, you don't have to do this alone.
No.
You do not have to do this alone. You just have to make sure that you reach out. And we are currently in a giving campaign for the She Economy Hub. So if you are able to, or even know some organizations that can help, either the She Economy Hub or inspiredactionwellness.com. It's tax deductible, and go on over there and help us both out. We are looking to sponsor 20 women to come to our in-person Dallas retreat to help them plan out a vision board and visual plan, what I call a strategic roadmap, so that they can plan out the rest of their year. Because as much as we talk about doing something, unless the vision is written and plain with a sustainable strategy, we're just having words. And so, Danielle, I really appreciate the mission that you have. Let me fix my screen so that they can see your beautiful logo with that beautiful phoenix who rises from the ashes back there. Um, I'm very glad that we have connected, and I look forward to us having some more conversations, because I do remember hearing you say dun, 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 that you started your own podcast. So before we wrap it up, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yep. So I am currently recording for my podcast called Fine, I'll Talk About It. And we are covering topics that a lot of people don't, we're saying the quiet parts out loud, basically. We're covering topics that people don't necessarily want to talk about in whatever circle, but they're conversations that need to be talked about. So I'm doing it. The first episode launches on January 5th. Yeah, I'm super excited. I've got some great, incredible guests coming on, and
Okay.
we are covering topics that you'll have
They're
to tune in
usually
to find out.
taboo. They're taboo, and we don't say it out loud.
Yeah, yeah, we're covering everything from like toxic positivity to spiritual bypassing to porn addiction to men's health and wellness and autism, and I mean there's just so many things that we're covering, and yeah,
I
it's going to be great, and that was the whole purpose. I wanted us to come together, communicate, have a discussion, because we just don't do that anymore.
Absolutely. This world of technology has it's so different. Everybody's on their phones and their computers and all of the things, and we have missed a lot that has come from human connection and relationships. So, and
Yes.
then, technology can make it better and easier to communicate, but there's either one extreme or the other, and we got to find a happy medium balance. So, Danielle, I love it. And fine, I'll talk about it. The title alone sounds like a whole movement. So, congratulations to you. And I can already tell and actually feel that your voice is going to open doors for healing and powerful conversations around the world. And I can't wait to see how it turns out.
Thank
So,
you.
Daniel, thank you for your courage and your transparency. A lot of times there's so much shame rooted in the trauma that we've experienced. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. Your journey from surviving to thriving reminds us that prosperity isn't just about what we gain, it is about who we become in the process. So, thank you again for sharing.
Yes.
To everyone watching, remember, prosperity isn't perfection, it's progress with purpose. And no matter where you are in your journey, Success always moves at the speed of execution. This has been another episode of Prosperity Conversations. I am the Nicole Johnson, and until next time.